You all just got mind-fucked. All you anime-only watchers that have been enjoying this and just enjoyed this episode just got mind-fucked. Because you all probably thought it was Shion's friend. The friend we met that, Shion was talking to at the table, and when we see him in this episode talking to Shion in the game. And then we see him when Kirito gets out of his first match, and then Def Gun appears behind Kirito. Right there. Right there, you all are mind-fucked. You're like, oh my god, this dude knows Kirito. And then you see the laughing coffin symbol. And then you see the flashbacks of almost every individual character we saw in SAO Season 1. We see a flashback in Kirito's mind, and he has to wonder, like, who is this? Who is this person to know who I am, know my sword skills, and at the exact same time, a member of Laughing Coffin? Who would want to kill people? And right there, we find out that someone from the PvP guild of Laughing Coffin is here. In this game, killing people. Now, the big question that pops up is, how is he doing it? And at the exact same time, who is Def Gun? Because now everybody's probably going to be beginning to wonder, like, who the fuck is Def Gun? Since it's not this person, who is it? So, I want to talk about a couple things. There is a lot of different foreshadowing elements in this episode, and at the exact same time, they skipped one thing in this episode. They skipped one thing. Honestly, what they skipped actually would have spoiled a lot of things. Personally, it would have spoiled probably what was going down in this episode, but it's not a big problem what they skipped. If they don't add it back in about 3 episodes, I'll probably cover it, but at the moment, it's nothing too bad. It's important, very important, but it's nothing to where it would destroy this episode and destroy the series, because eventually they will have to reveal that. It has to be revealed. So anyways, besides that, the episode all around was fucking... You know how I feel. So, at the middle of this episode, we see Shion starting to act like she wants to kill the strong ones. Now, what does Def Gun want to do? Yeah. So, where is all these cards pointing at right now? You gotta think about this. There's a lot of different things going on, a lot of mysteries, and it's really crazy how this is all going down. And I love how they're adding in the character traits of Kirito. I covered this last week, and I will cover it again. If you still think Kirito is like God, he is not. It shows in this episode that Kirito deflects bullets. Now, at first, probably everybody's going to look at that. If you kind of hate Kirito, you're probably going to say, oh my god, he's fucking God, he's doing stuff that's impossible. And I covered it last week. The reason why he can do that is because since he was in 2 years of SEO, he trained his, reflexes. So he is able to reflex those bullets. Since he can tell where the trajectory lines are coming in, where he's going to get shot at, he's able to dodge them or hit them. So it really shows in this episode how they're keeping those traits. I mean, I love that little extra attention to detail with Kirito's traits and personality when you see him try to put a sword on his back once again, after the fight, he tries to put it back on his shoulder. I was like, yes, that's the fucking shit I wanted to see. They're adding in these freaking character traits that made Kirito for who he was, and this is what made freaking Fairy Dance shit, because they didn't add in these character traits, and they just made him look like a fucking god, overpowered character. He wasn't that. So I love how they're doing attention to detail with these characters, especially doing Kirito, where they show that he has these reflexes. Now you're probably wondering, like, hey Chibi, how are you going to explain the entire bit when Kirito closed his eyes and he was being a samurai and he heard everything? The reason why, if you don't understand yet, in SAO Season 1, okay, there was a couple abilities we saw Kirito, being able to hear people. For instance, you could hear through doors, different walls and stuff, and he was able to see if anyone was watching him from a little bit of a range. And over time playing SAO, he kind of built up this little bit of a sixth sense to where he could feel if, someone's watching him or at the exact same time where certain people are at. Because humans technically do have that type of sixth sense. You always get that type of feelings you're being watched sometimes. Everybody's had it before, and Kirito has kind of mastered that a little bit because of the pressure and the extremes of having to survive in this realistic game that could kill him at any second, and so he had to constantly think like that because, a mob can spawn on him and try to kill him in SAO, and so he had to, develop that accidentally. He developed it. So that's a big reason what he used in this episode, and I like how they showed that once again. They're showing more character traits, and I love how they're doing those inner thoughts with Kirito. Even though they're not speaking, we're seeing flashbacks that really help out the overall character development with him. Now, the episode overall, any person that's been bored out their ass finally got what they wanted because this episode had action. And if, you know, you weren't satisfied with this action, I don't know what to say, because the action was fucking good. It's fucking good because this is the type of action you should expect from SAO. You know, like, I guess tactical action, not just like, you shouldn't expect that, no. You should expect tactical action, thinking ahead, strategy, stuff like that, because that's what, you know, Gun Gal Online is going to be about. The tournament's going to be about. It's going to be about strategy, tactics, and different things like that, and how to deal with PvP. So, the big thing here is this episode lays down the foundation of what we should expect from the fights. For instance, Kirito learns he could fucking deflect bullets. He could just hit fucking bullets, which is fucking Star Wars. I will say one thing, and as you know, you all know my standpoint on SAO by now. I will say this, the sound effects and everything they're adding on to the freaking phase blade, or the phase saber, whatever you want to call it, it's just called a lightsaber. The sound effects they're using on that, you might as well say it's a fucking lightsaber. I'm just gonna be honest here, okay? And then you add in Def Gun that's doing those, like, freaking, like Darth Vader. I expect the entire scene with Def Gun's like, Kirito, I am your father. You know, that's exactly what I expected, honestly. I'm just being honest. They're really adding in those sound effects, I think, just to have shits and giggles. I really think A1 Pictures is because that shit right there is just fucking hilarious. Because I honestly thought Def Gun was Darth Vader. And I can see how a lot of people would make fun of SAO 2 because of the way it seems like Star Wars a little bit. But that's not enough to really put down, but I do notice those. I do notice those things. I do notice that it really is treading that line. But anyways, okay? Animation of this episode, fucking solid. Fucking solid. It wasn't as good as last week's episode, especially the first person shit, oh my god, but it was still good with the action. Like when you see Kirito moving around, the fluid animation when you saw his body move and all that shit, you saw him dodging bullets, that was just so fucking good. And then you get a little bit of fan service. Now, honestly, I expected this coming, and I actually expected it to be a lot worse. I expected the fan service to be a lot worse for this entire reason when you got to see Shion in her bra and panties. I'm like, oh god, we're about to probably see, you know, fan service. I knew that was coming. But do you see how they handled it, and they really didn't focus too long on it? I will give a clap for A1 Pictures going past that part fast enough, because that's actually what happened in the light novel. You had, you know, Kirito, you know, just sitting in a room putting on equipment. All of a sudden he realizes that, you know, Shion's undressing. She doesn't realize that he is a guy, which was announced, you know, last week's episode, because she didn't know. She thought he was a girl. And so the misunderstanding finally came undone, and pretty much they now know Kirito is a boy. And so I like how they added that in, but I am also glad they didn't stay too focused on the fan service for long. Now, let's talk about one big element that everybody should pay attention to about this episode. One big element that is one of the most important things about this episode. And it's obvious to tell if you pay attention. Now, I mean, if everybody has surfed the internet, everybody's probably bought something off the internet one given time or another, like Xbox Live, PlayStation, Wii, whatever, even Amazon, eBay. Someone that's watching this has probably bought something somewhere online once before in their life. And so, when you saw that scene when they were signing up for a tournament, they were signing up for a tournament of Gun Gal Online at the beginning of this episode. You see Shion and Kirito signing up. It says to put in your real information. Now, this is the internet. And what happens when you put in your information onto an untrustworthy website? Think about that for a second. Now, what stops a person from standing behind Kirito or Shion and watching them type in their information? No one. Honestly, no one can stop that. And this scene right here, honestly, is actually the place they took out something that I said was important earlier on in this review, and which I will cover either next week or the week after that, depending if they do add it in. But at the moment, I'm just going to skip past it because I do not want to leave any spoilers. But that right there is a big thing you should focus on, because it says on the top of the entire description, when you read the subtitles, it said top prizes. For instance, if you're a top victor, like if I'm guessing you're 1 through 5, you know, top victor, you will get, you know, the best prizes sent to your door. And so they need your real information to send that, which, as I'm saying, I'm not saying Gun Gal Online is bad, I'm just saying information can be stolen. It has been proven, it's realistic, because, I mean, it has been proven to happen in real life, and so what is stopping someone from stealing your information in the game? So, anyways, everybody, tell me your thoughts, honestly, about this episode. The pacing is fucking good. I'm not even gonna deny it. The pacing is good. Very good. They cut out a little bit of inner monologues, but they replaced it with some different flashback scenes with Kirito, so I'm fine with that. They're keeping these traits. Shion's getting the proper development she needs. There's a little bit of foreshadow being thrown out all in this episode, and then you have the entire section to with Shion most likely being Death Gun. You have Death Gun, the Darth Vader, I'm your father, and then you have, you know, this entire bit with the information, real-life information. So everybody, tell me your thoughts about this episode. What was your favorite moments? And honestly, were you bored? Did you love this episode? Let me know. It seems like a lot of anime fans are actually enjoying this series a lot more than I thought, which makes me very happy because this is how SAO should be. And so, tell me your honest thoughts about this episode, everybody. Anime-only watchers, let me know how you felt. Now, light novel readers, I want to say this once again. If you're going to discuss the light novel, please only discuss the events that happened from this episode and to the first episode. But do not spoil that one scene you know I'm talking about that happened at the beginning of this episode, because I don't want to spoil the anime-only watchers. So anyways, everybody, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.